Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Wendy Sellers, the HR lady. We are here in our final episode of this series talking about directing best in-class employee life cycles that ensure inclusivity and creativeness so that we can achieve our goals. Just a reminder for you to remind your employees what your mission, vision, and values are, because they know it for the interview, as Morgan said, but they don't remember it. And I say this over and over and over again. People say, oh, there's a poster. It's in the handbook. I'm like, nobody's reading the handbook. I can assure you they're only looking for their PTO and their benefits. And that's about it. Right, Morgan?
Very accurate.
Hey, so I just want to jump right in right now and get your perspective, of where HR is headed in the big picture, not just in 2025. What do you think are some emergent trends? We can talk about 2025 as well, but what about after 2025? The past couple of years have been insane, and we've had to change so much in HR and adapt, and not everybody made it. A lot of people chose to leave HR, and sometimes I go, I don't blame you. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree. I think we went from a very steady, almost stagnant feel to rapid acceleration and change, and that's not for everybody. In regards to what trends do I see, obviously fractional, that's something that's coming up, but I think it's speaking to a larger trend to where we talk about side hustles, where we see people gaining all these different subsets of skills. And I think the career ladder is dying. And honestly, I'm happy about it. I think that we are much more than just, you have to do this and have this position to have this next one. I think we're starting to see a matrix of skills and trying to understand how do we optimize that for the next positions. And so I think that's really what is happening. I also think from a business perspective and the economy, some businesses aren't able to afford full-time employees in the way that they were. So they almost need this mix of skills or added elements of fractionals or contractors to act instead of this huge employee base. That used to be something a lot of people bragged about. We see things going slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. And I do think it will continue to go there.
A survey by the Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM, it shows that 83% of HR leaders believe upskilling will be essential for workers to remain competitive in a job market that will be shaped by AI, artificial intelligence. Back to you.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can't figure that out by now, that technology has been for decades now changing our lives. I don't even know. I'm just throwing out a number. Don't take this number to heart because I don't know if it's factual, but I would say in the past decade alone, but definitely the past 5 years, oh my goodness, I personally feel like technology is changing so fast. We were talking about this in between sessions with technology actually, and it's changing so fast that if we as leaders can't keep up with it, how the heck do we expect our employees to? And if we're looking for the old skills that we rely on, but the people that are looking for the jobs or they say, I don't have those skills. I have the new skills. It's a catch and take on pull and take on each side. Right, Morgan?
No, 100%. And I think they're trying to figure out where we're moving as businesses, and businesses are trying to figure out what's happening with the employees so we can find this middle set. That's not even talking about AI agents, you know what I'm saying, that are starting to come and learn complex tasks and also starting to work together. So I do think it's constantly thinking about, either these specialties, but also these other roles that people hold and how can we utilize those skills.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I personally am infatuated with AI, but there is so many risks to it. So folks, you need to understand what the pros and cons are and then what the risks are, of putting information into, say, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, whatever else you have access to. And then, of course, the whole concept, if you're hooking AI up at your HRIS system, you can be getting yourself in some really hot water there where they're diving into your system and getting your social security numbers. Oh, JC has a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, not necessarily a question, but I do want to riff on that, want to piggyback, want to just toss this out there for our HR friends that are listening along. If you're having fun with the ChatGPT, big thumbs up. Kudos to you. Take a look at those enterprise options. Take a look at the tiered structures on what it means to have a more secured account. Security is key nowadays. Just something to be mindful of.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, JC, because there are a ton of things on AI. We've been using AI for a long time. I just don't think the general public knew that that's what it was called. You know, it's technology has been around and making our lives a lot easier where we could, I don't know, order things on a phone or talk to text, and then some magical lady in a box orders our groceries for us and they show up at the door. You know, these things are helping society improve, but if the internet goes down, we're all in trouble. All right. I have another question here. You know, what do you think for HR leaders? What skills will HR leaders need to thrive in I'd say the next decade, but really the next couple years?
Yeah, I think EQ will always be my answer for HR because we're dealing with so many different people and stakeholders. We have to hold our ground for our emotions and understand what that is. Agility, understanding your business. But I think the other thing is seeing how things are happening. We're so ingrained to our day to day. What are your competitors doing? You know, what are other people doing in this space? Because you're likely going to be moving through out there. And I think it's not about just learning HR and all the ways it impacts us. It's really understanding what these businesses and these industries and sectors are doing, because inevitably you're going to be heading that way. And so the more that you can understand what that is 10 feet in front of you, the more you're going to be a better people partner. Also, this affects policy, you know, so as you're rolling out policies and thinking, are they scalable? Are they even matching, you know, with the technology, or are they to age? So how can you be agile in your approaches? Even just what you were talking about with OpenAI and putting the information in there for ChatGPT. How do we do policy over that? What does that look like? And trying to think about that for these newer technologies that may be, you know, close to market, but also how are we thinking about this? So it's not enough to break our frame and structure to get work done, but also not just out the box window and we can do whatever we want with here. Like, what are the guardrails and what does that mean for our business? And that's going to be very different for each and every business.
I love it. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. We absolutely love having you on our show. Thank you so much for being here, Morgan. Hey, how can our listeners connect with you?
Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Just put that you listen to this podcast. That will allow me to accept faster. And yeah, you can always follow along on PeakHR as well. And my website is peakhrlearning.com.
Awesome. I will put her LinkedIn profile and her website in the comments of the podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody, to all of these episodes on our series about directing best-in-class employee life cycles, overall HR trends, and that we ensure inclusivity and creativeness is happening so that we can meet our business goals. We hope this information in this podcast series has been helpful. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.